The next topic we are going to cover is Application Performance Management, APM in short, with AppDynamics. So these are the set of topics we are going to cover. First, we are going to talk about the concept of application performance management, and then we are going to dive into some AppDynamic introduction. And then we are going to look into some features of AppDynamics, business transaction, backend activity monitoring, identifying and diagnosing slow requests, and identifying styles. So let's talk about application performance monitoring and management. If you think about today's operation environment for typical enterprise application environment, they have a few characteristics. First, they are distributed. Typically, the servers are multi-tiered, the applications are multi-tiered, and they are running on many servers. Typical environment have multi-technologies from multi-vendors, and they are typically using heterogeneous technologies. They are not using just a single technology, but multiple technologies from multiple vendors. They use multiple databases. In addition to relational database, NoSQL is getting momentum these days for scalability. And multi-remoting technology. So when servers are communicating each other, they use a different communication technologies, including, of course, HTTP and HTTPS, SOAP, REST, and messaging. The client types could be many different types, including desktop, and it could be mobile devices, it could be browser, and it could be web services client. And the application could be running inside a single organization's premise, or it could be running on a cloud. And the cloud could be public cloud, or it could be the in-premise cloud, or it could be combination, sometimes called hybrid. In terms of application development, they are typically distributed, meaning development groups are distributed. So development teams are scattered around the world. So these are not that unusual these days. And the applications are highly agile, meaning changes are frequent. So you make changes, and the life cycle is actually very, very short. In old days, it's not unusual to see an application to be developed and released in a few years, but these days is in a matter of months. They use, again, heterogeneous technologies. So as a developer, you use Java, .NET, and you might actually use different frameworks. And the code is getting complex, and they are highly distributed. So if you think about this application environment and also application development environment, there needs to be a different way of actually managing and monitoring these applications' performance. So the challenges application monitoring includes such as this: multiple types of performance data source. So these days, you see performance data is being gathered by multiple tools. It could be system tools, mostly monitoring and managing system level of the statistics, and it could be third-party monitoring tools, and also you have log files. Now, the problem of this is that this performance data from these different type of tools are relatively independent each other. They are siloed. So there is no meaningful end-to-end performance data available. And the performance data from a standpoint of end user business transaction is hard to get. Okay, so the performance data is actually focused on a very small segment of the application performance. But in general, you want to actually see end-to-end from user standpoint the performance, and that is very hard to get. And there are multiple stakeholders, so developers, testers, and operation teams. And operation team could actually manage both network and applications. And all these different stakeholders actually want to see different set of performance data. So the requirements of modern day APM systems include production environment ready. So they want to actually measure this performance in production environment, which means the APM system should be low overhead, should have a very low overhead. And it should be easy to use, meaning installation and operation in production and testing and development environment should be all easy to use. And business transaction performance visibility. So as I talked about in previous slide, APM system should provide end-to-end performance, not just a single point performance. And I should provide end user experience based performance, because at the end of the day, performance is actually seen by the end user. So this business transaction performance visibility, which includes the end-to-end performance and end user experience based performance, should be supported by APM system. Low MTTR. MTTR stands for mean time to repair. So once a problem is found, it should be easy. It should be actually fast to fix it. So rapid troubleshooting and root cause analysis should be part of the APM system. So no finger pointing. So these days, without the modern day APM system, when there is a problem, it's very hard where the problem is caused. So there is a lot of finger pointing. So developers might say, this is not my problem. It could be the problem of the database. Database people might say, this is not the database problem. It could be the problem of operation or network or something like that. So we need APM system that actually point out exactly where the cause of the problem is, and then should fix in a short period of time. So the mean time to repair should be low, meaning discovery of the problem should be easy enough to do and fast enough to do. And auto discovery and auto instrumentation. So as we talked about in previous slide, the operational environment is multi-tier. They're always changing. New servers are being added and things like that. So these servers and these applications, they should be auto discovered and auto instrumented. It's very difficult to manually configure each of these servers, each of these applications into APM system. APM system should auto discover and auto instrument these changes in all tiers. So this is actually from from one of the research organizations describing what APM should actually support. So if you think about here, the end user experience and runtime application architecture, business transaction, deep dive component monitoring, analytics, and reporting. So these are the things that application performance management system should actually provide. So currently there are several APM solutions out there, and AppDynamics and New Relic, those are two major APM solutions that are quite popular. And AppDynamics, you have a commercial version and a free version, and we are going to work with AppDynamics Lite, which is a free version. And CompuWare also has APM solution. There are a few other companies such as IBM also have some solutions, but for now, AppDynamics and New Relic, they seem to be the most popular APM solutions out there. All right, so let me see if there are any questions. Let me see. Now let's get into AppDynamics introduction. So what is AppDynamics? So again, it's geared for production environment with low performance overhead. And so each server has to get started with AppDynamics Java agent. Okay. And so users get to see the top business transactions that flow through the JVM. So basically, they should be able to see for example, log in or view items in the cart or checkout, whatever business transactions, they will see the overall performance, end-to-end performance of login, end-to-end performance of checkout, end-to-end performance of view the items in the cart and things like that. Okay. So it provides the end-to-end application visibility. So for login, you should be able to actually see where how much time is actually being spent on each segment of the chain. So, the login should actually have a web tier. Web tier talks to business tier server. Business tier server eventually talks to database. So you should be able to see how much time was spent in each segment of the chain. So this is end-to-end application visibility. This is actually captured from their website. Because in our hands-on lab, we do not have all these servers. So in this case, they have multiple servers. They have Oracle servers, and they probably have MySQL servers. They also have a messaging server and things like that. So when on the left, when a particular business transaction is started, for example, login. Login might actually talk to some messaging server, then it eventually talk to database server. So in each segment of the chain, okay, you should be able to see how much time it takes. And you can actually see transaction scorecard. So basically, in this case, very large percentage is normal, and then there are few percentage of the slow operations. So these are the things that, if slow and very slow, if you have a large percentage of those, there is something wrong with your system. Okay, so you can actually dive down into those slow and very slow transactions and see why that is happening. Okay. All right, so we're going to actually try the lab. And in our case, we are going to have a single web tier server, which is a Tomcat. And then we are going to use MySQL as a database server. You cannot use the in-memory database because in-memory database is not going to be captured by the AppDynamics. So we have to use MySQL. So in our case, we are going to have a single tier, which is a web tier, and then talking to the database. If you compare AppDynamics Lite, AppDynamics Lite has a lot of features compared to Visual VM and JConsole. Okay, so this is kind of obvious. You should actually move this one. Okay, so AppDynamics architecture. So AppDynamics architecture is included. AppDynamics architecture includes AppDynamics controller. This is in fact the web server. So this is where you are going to actually connect to see what's going on. Okay, so you are going to actually connect to this AppDynamics controller through your browser, and then any servers that are involved in your application, the application server should be started with agent. Okay, so in our case, because we are starting Tomcat, we are going to use a Java agent. Okay, so if you happen to have Node.js, the server, then you want to start with a Node.js agent. Okay, so any server that needs to be monitored should get started with the agent. Okay, and the controller will talk to this agent. Whatever agent collects will be passed up to the controller, and that's what you are going to actually see. So this is end user monitoring. So end user, or there could be actually in fact the multiple managers. Okay. Mobile, and also so I'm gonna just focus on this one. Yeah, AppDynamics also support like a mobile device support. Okay, so let's move on to business transaction concept. So why business transaction concept? So the thing is, business transaction is basically what the users are going to see. For example, log in or add items to the cart and log out, check out, and things like that. So you want to see what is the overall performance, end-to-end performance of those business transactions. Okay. And the business transactions, you can actually define your own transactions, or you can ask AppDynamics to find the top level business transactions for you, and that's what we are going to use. So AppDynamics applies automatic discovery rules for finding entry point of these business transactions. Okay, so the servlet. So when there is actually servlet, it will consider that is in fact the entry point of that business transaction. Spring Beans could be considered as the business transaction, and web service endpoint by service names also considered as business transactions. Purchase with a class name, interface is implemented, and struct actions. So basically, AppDynamics have some intelligence to find out what is the entry point of these business transactions, and then that's what is going to actually measure the performance. Okay. So the entry point is where the business logic starts, and it identifies the context for monitoring in the system. Okay, so we'll talk about this one when we do the lab in a bit more detail. Okay, so So the AppDynamics could actually auto-discover this business transaction endpoint. You can actually rename it. Spring Bean for the checkout might have a very long name. So in that case, you can rename it. You can you can exclude it. Okay. You can also specify custom rules. So once this process is done, then you have various business transaction like a checkout, add to cart, and view cart. Okay. Okay, so once you have a business transactions identified on the left, like a checkout or user logout, member logout, view cart, and to cart, and then you will see some performance of those business transactions. So in this case, there are 35 checkout calls made, and each time, average time was 407 seconds, and then it actually gives you some kind of health, the statistics based on what you actually defined. Okay, so you can certainly set the threshold if the checkout time is taking more than 200,000 millisecond, which is 2 seconds. You can specify it as the the very slow checkouts. In that case, that will be indicated this by red flag. Okay, so if you have a reasonably good size of this green bar, that means things are in good shape. Backend activity monitoring. So backend activity monitoring is the backend services are the services that require some kind of communication. So we are talking about JDBC, JMS, and web services and HTTP calls. So AppDynamics monitors these external calls to these backend services, and they will actually give you the statistics, performance statistics, and you can certainly find out why that is taking that long time. If it is not taking that long time, what is the other places that is slowing things down. Okay. Okay, so this is a flow map. So basically this is the web services and this is the database. So you can actually see for 71 calls, how many 71 calls per minute, and you should be also see what is the average time. So in this case, it's a 131 millisecond average time. 75, 64, 75, and 64 calls. There are 3 errors and 1 error per minute. So based on this statistics, you are going to actually make an intelligent decision to see whether you want to actually take a look at that particular the communication. Okay. In some cases, you might actually see very slow communication to the database server, and then you can take a look at what is a raw SQL, and then you can certainly find out the how things could be actually optimized from that SQL. Okay, identifying and diagnosing slow request. So basically, threshold, you can set the threshold. The threshold could be set slow, very slow, or normal threshold. Okay, so based on this threshold, the AppDynamics will present the healthiness of your system. Dynamic threshold. AppDynamics uses a recent average response time for transactions over 2-hour period as the dynamic threshold. So this is actually quite useful. So if your system is actually kind of being accessed in, let's say, in a very sporadic, let's say, varying fashion, it's not constant traffic, then what you want to do is that you want AppDynamics to use the recent average response time during the past hour or something like that, and then that will actually use that as a threshold. Okay. So rather than a fixed threshold, you can certainly use a dynamic threshold. Identifying slow request. So both the dashboard and business transaction drill down views display of dynamic health bar graph and indicate how slow error occurs. So if you actually see any kind of problems like this, you can actually drill down. You can just click this red bar here, and you can click down what is happening, and you can actually see the chain of interactions among the players. Okay, and you can see which segment of the chain is taking the largest time, and you can actually find out what's going on. Okay, identifying stalls. Stalls is actually highly visible application performance problems. So this is not just slow, it's actually either very, very slow or there is no response. Okay, since there is no feedback to end user for unacceptable amount of time. So this is the one that you want to actually take a look at the first. Okay, so common causes of stalls include, but not limited to. So the connection is broken, not able to make a connection, or external backend service is not responding, something like that. Okay. So AppDynamics isolate which application requests have stalled and keeps track of total number of stalls for 2-hour period as a default. So identifying slow request, provides a visual, yes, as we talked about, actually give you a visual indicators, which one is actually slow. All right, so that is the end of the presentation. Now let's actually take a look at the hands-on lab. So doing the hands-on lab, you will probably have a better understanding on what's going on. Okay, let me see if you guys have any questions. Okay, so you have to download and install the AppDynamics controller first, and then you're going to download agent. Okay, so those are two installation steps that we have to do first. Okay, and later on, what we are going to do is we are going to run Pet Clinic application with MySQL, and there is some actually code that is implanted to slow things down. Okay, and so we like to know, we would like to actually find out, what is going on. It is in fact a database problem, or if it is not a database problem, where in my code is actually slowing things down. Okay. All right. So let's actually do the installation first. So let's download the AppDynamics controller. So if you go to download site, yeah, they actually changed the UI a little bit. So there is no immediate download things. So you have to actually go to pricing. Go to pricing. And then we are going to use this Lite. So you have to actually sign up first. Okay. You can either use a LinkedIn, or you can actually have provide your own information. So in my case, I'm going to just use a LinkedIn. And I agree. Create free account. And then you have to select on-premise. Okay, and then you should be able to and then click get started. And then you select. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't have the Mac version of it. I'm kind of puzzled why that is the case. Okay, so you download the controller. Okay. Dynamics for Mac. Yes, so yeah, so 2013 October, they said they don't have any version for Mac. That's surprising. Yeah, okay, so this is 2014. Oh, there is nobody mentioning. Okay, so once you download it, so if you're running on Mac, this is actually a problem. Okay, I'm gonna actually go to the lab documentation again. Okay, so suppose you've downloaded, okay, and you are going to, so this is the zip file that gets downloaded, okay, and you are going to unzip it. Once you unzip it, it will create two files. One is exe file, the other one is a license file. Okay. So when you run this exe file, this is going to install controller. Okay, so controller, as I said before, it is like a server that is, taking taking a request from your browser request. Okay, so run this one, and next, you have to read all the license agreement and then accept the agreement. And then you are going to choose a default location where controller is getting installed. So as a default, it's going to use the root level AppDynamics and controller. And next, and then set the AppDynamics controller database, root user and password. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm actually using admin for all username and password. So just type admin, okay, and accept default configuration values. So this is the name of your server, and then next, and use single tenancy mode. Okay, so multi-tenancy is actually when you want to have a different access control for multiple applications. Okay, since we are going to use a single user accessing all applications, we are going to use a single tenancy mode. And then password for application AppDynamics controller. Again, use admin. Okay, password is admin. And then set the admin user. So we are going to again use the admin username is going to be admin, password is admin, and verify password admin. So all admins for the sake of simplicity. And, and in terms of performance profile, we are going to choose demo. So this is limited to up to 5 nodes assigned to one application. Okay. So since this is hands-on lab, we're going to just use a demo version of it. And then data directory, just choose the default. Okay, and the high availability, we don't really care at this point, so not applicable. And then you're going to the installation of AppDynamics. So it's going to install the AppDynamics controller, and then it will start it. Okay, and once it's started, then you can actually finish it. Okay. Later on, when you want to start and stop the controller, you can actually go to bin directory, and there is in fact the start controller and stop controller path file. Okay, or the for Windows. So if you want to start the controller manually, then you can say start controller, and then you can later on stop the controller. So once you have, and then once you actually start the controller, so let me actually start the controller in my case, because I have installed it already. So I'm going to go to AppDynamics controller and bin, and I am going to start controller. So it does use its own MySQL as a database. Okay. And then once the controller is up and running, I should be able to access the controller from my browser. So it should let me access controller with this URL. So this one could be localhost, okay, http://8090 and /controller. Okay, so it's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm gonna let you guys to do the installation of this controller for now, because this one is actually taking this one might actually take more than 5 to 10 minutes actually. Okay. Okay, so my the controller finally started, so I should be able to. Yeah, it took up almost like more than 5 minutes, so I should be able to connect this URL. So, and I'm actually basically going to the controller. Okay, so I should log in, admin, and log in. All right, so this is the screen that you are going to see. Okay, and then we are going to do agent installation for the server that you are going to use. Okay, in our case, we are using server running on the same machine. Okay, but it's typically the server might be actually different machine than your controller. Okay. So we started a controller. So controller is, oops, yeah, this is the one. Yeah, controller is up and running. Okay. So now the first thing you want to do is the, uh, let's see, where did he say pet clinic? Yeah, so the view all applications, let's see. Yeah, okay, so you're going to actually create the application, okay? Let's create application, and then you're going to select the, you're going to name it as a picnic application, okay? Let's see. Oh, yeah, so I have to actually talk about the agent first. Okay, so that's actually why it's missing, okay. Um, so controller, and then later on, you're going to actually configure. So basically, uh, let's go to homes, and you click the pet clinics. Um, you are going to configure. So there are a few things you want to configure. So when you click the configure, you want to actually configure first of all instrumentation. Okay, so instrumentation, and yeah. So I think this is already done. So let me actually use the documentation. So instrumentation, and you're going to choose a web tier. Oh, okay, it will automatically find the web tier here. Okay. And now this is actually transaction detection. So I'm going to actually show you here the web tier business transaction transaction detection. Okay, so let me just show the whole thing. So this is how AppDynamics is going to detect what are the business transactions that you want it to monitor. So you can specify servlet. Yeah, so we are not going to actually monitor servlet, so it's unchecked. Struts action, we are not going to monitor struts action, so unchecked. We are not going to monitor web services, unchecked. We are going to actually use Pojo and Spring Bean because we are going to run Pet Clinic Spring application. So we want the Spring Beans, I'm sorry, the AppDynamics to detect the Spring Beans, and Pojo class is something that you define yourself. Okay, so we want the Spring Bean to be detected by AppDynamics as entry point to the business transaction. And EJB, JMS, binary moting, we don't care those things. Okay, all right. So that is instrumentation, and another in terms of backend detection. Okay, so now here, call graph settings. Yeah, so call graph setting is where you can actually specify the packages for for including call graph or not. If you remember what we have learned yesterday, and the first day of the code camp, we were using, NetBeans and Visual VM and JMC to find out, which package is going to be in fact monitored. So the same deal. So in this case, we do not want to monitor, these packages. Okay, but we want to include monitoring. So you can actually click add custom package. So this is exclude. We want to include. So that is, I'm trying to Oh, I have to go this way all the way. Okay, that's the reason I couldn't see it. Okay. Ah, yes. The one I want to actually show you is yes. So in terms, oh, okay. In terms of the it's hard to see with a small screen here. Yeah, so this is the threshold. We want to actually set the snapshot for the take one snapshot for every 1 minute. So later on, when we actually do some pet clinic operations, the snapshot will be taken for each minute. Okay, and then this is a call graph. So call graph and yeah, so add always shown package class. So these are the things that we like to actually see in our call graph. So click this guy, and you want to add this guy, OLG Spring Framework.samples, because that is a package of the pet clinic. Okay, so we add it here, and we should actually see it right here. Okay, and then the call graph settings. Okay, so let me actually show you. So oh, here you go. Okay, so I should be able to click this guy. Okay, I have already added. Okay, so if you click this guy and then you specify that olg.springframework.samples things. Okay, so I have already added here. Okay, uh, in terms of yeah, so we did the transaction detection, right? Okay, all right. Now we are ready to install the AppDynamics agent. Okay, so the way you can actually, when you actually go to the controller, there is in fact the agent download. Okay, so if you go to home, so this is agent download wizard. So if you click this guy, and then you can select Java, then go to next, and then you select the JVM. So we're gonna select Sun and JRocket JVM, and go to next. And then you specify controller URL, which is this one, and next. And it's selecting existing application. Yeah, so I can use the pet clinic application. And click next. And selecting a tier is a web tier. And click next. And click download. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me. So, so let me see whether it's still actually bombing out for me. Okay, so this is the problem you get. So in that case, what you can do is you can actually go to, so this is what yeah, so this is, I documented the steps and somehow it didn't work. So this is the error you get, okay? So I actually specified how you can download the agent manually. Okay, so there is a little bit of manual work involved. Okay, so you are going to go. So we're going to go to home again, and then wizard here. Then there is wizard got view. If you're new to that, check out the getting started section. Yeah, okay. So here, advanced users, you can skip wizard and download agent manually. Okay, so if you click this guy, okay, you should be able to download Java agent. Okay, so let me actually show you. Download this guy, and you're gonna agree the license, and then you're gonna select Java agent. Okay, so download it now here, and then you are going to download some location of your choice. Okay, so the agent zip file is this. Okay, so you're going to unzip it. And there is a Java agent.java. So that is in fact the core of agent. Okay. Now you have to actually configure that agent. So you go to that agent directory, there's a conf directory and controller info.xml file. Okay. So you have to actually specify, make sure that you set to localhost and the controller port is 8090 and then application name is pet clinic application, tier name is web tier, and node name is web1. Okay. So make sure you are actually setting those values yourself. Okay. Now we are going to set the agent. In this case, the agent is Tomcat. So we are going to go to Tomcat, okay, and we are going to configure open launch configuration. Yeah, you click this one first. So let me actually show you. So we are going to go to Tomcat and double click this guy and the open configuration. And here we are going to set the agent, okay. So argument. So here, yeah, so this is the from JVM stuff. So I'm going to just visual VM things. Okay, so I'm going to just remove this guy. Now we are going to specify this agent. Okay, so let me see whether I still have this agent. See, download Dynamics. Okay, so I still have that the Java agent job file. Okay, so I am going to just follow the documentation in that case. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, so this is the step. So I am going to add this Java agent to my Tomcat. So whatever Tomcat is doing, it will report performance data to the controller, AppDynamics controller. I say okay. All right, good. So I did that, and then I start the server. So I need to actually I need to import Pet Clinic SQL application, Pet Clinic MySQL application. So that is under Labs, AppDynamics, Samples Maven. Okay, this is the one. Oh, looks like I already have it. Oh, okay, so looks like I already have it. So I'm going to, okay, I'm going to just delete it first. Oh, okay. Okay. Import. Okay. Okay. Finish. Okay, so I have this guy, Pet Clinic application. Let's see. Okay, and we have a Tomcat configured. And okay, so so when I actually start the Tomcat, even without the Pet Clinic, I should be able to actually see agent is in fact started with, AppDynamics agent is started with this. So let me actually start this guy. console. Yeah, I should actually display the console. There's a console. Here we go. Okay, yeah, here we go. So I want to make sure that, yeah, okay, good. So it's actually AppDynamics Agent Edition, and good. Java Agent is being studied. Okay, so this is just to verify Tomcat is starting with AppDynamics Agent. Yeah, we're almost there. Running obfuscated agent. Then is troubleshooting. Okay. Now we need to start the MySQL. So let me see if MySQL is studied. Okay, so I have a MySQL studied. Okay. And in this case, we are using Pet Clinic database. So we need to actually create the database as well. So let me just open another command window. MySQL -u root -p, no password, and let's take a look at all the databases. Okay, so I already have a pet clinic. Okay, so if you don't have it, then you can just create one. Create database pet clinic like this. Okay. All right, so I'm all set. Okay, so we are going to run the application on the Tomcat. Okay, good. So now we are ready to run the application. So let's actually make sure the console, yeah, so here, yeah, studied AppDynamics Java agent successfully. That's the one. I want to make sure it happens. Now we are going to run the application, run as, and run on server, and Tomcat. Continue. Okay, so it's probably have to wait a few seconds. Let me see. Let me just rebuild. Almost done. Yes, wait until this is actually done. Okay, let's rebuild. Okay, so it's done. We're going to restart the server. Okay, so it's working. Find owner, add owner, something like that. Well, actually, instead of running MySQL homework, I want to actually run the MySQL, Pet Clinic MySQL home. Okay, let me just delete this guy. Sorry about that. All right, so I'll just continue. So there is a minor difference. So, all right, so we can just add owner, for example. So, once you actually perform a few things like this, these operations should be actually captured by AppDynamics. Okay, so now let's actually take a look at the AppDynamics. So if you take a look at the so we perform these things. Okay, a few operations like add owner, update owner, or you can actually use a JMeter to execute some backlinking operations. Okay, now we are going to start monitoring. Okay, so I want to use the different browser. Okay, so backlinking applications. Okay, so let's see transactions. Okay, so we don't actually see. Yeah, so you can see we have some calls are being made. Okay, yeah, so it's with the small screen, it's pretty hard to see. Let me see. Let me actually use the documentation. Yeah, so click backlinking application. Yeah, so we should see on the dashboard, you should see some of the calls made to the MySQL. So let's actually take a look at that. Backlinking dashboard. Yeah, so default flow map. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see the picture. Web tier, Java. Yeah, I should actually see MySQL. The reason is because it's actually capturing per minute. So I have to actually do a bit more operations. Okay. So let's actually try to edit owner like this. And hopefully this is the reason why you want to use the JMeter to actually to have a continuous uh, uh, operations. Update owner. And let's see, go home, try to add owner, another add owner. Okay, add owner. Okay, so let's see whether it actually dashboard. Yeah, so you should actually see MySQL database like this. Anyway, so now you can actually see the dashboard. So we were able to see the dashboard, this guy. And so 65 calls and number of calls and things like that. And the top level transactions. So if you go to top level transactions, yeah, here. Yeah, so here we can see this is a pet clinic add owner form submit. So that's actually 109 times. Okay, so everything is healthy based on our default threshold. Okay, and you can also actually see diagnostics. You can actually perform like a diagnostics global settings. let me see. You start this guy by response time, start diagonal. Oh, that option is not, see here. Oh, here you go, okay. Start diagnostics. And so basically collect transaction snapshots for 10 minutes and the rate of let's say 10 snapshots. So you can actually have a bit more detailed diagnostic session up to this point. So now we can actually do a bit more operations like add owner, find owner, add owner. Okay, and then so basically start diagnostics and you perform add owner things, and then you can actually see some more detailed information about events diagnostics. Let's see, events transaction analysis. So this is actually where the largest time is actually being spent. Okay. So let's see. The one I want to actually show you is the analyze the data. So transaction snapshots. And so you can actually see this one is taking like a 334 millisecond. Okay. And so you go into that one. And so when this is happening, you want to drill down. You should be able to drill down. Okay. And then this is where the call graph is being displayed. Okay. So here we can go to like a submit, interceptor, do begin, connection, and invoke. And then there is a click store owner. That is taking 318 milliseconds. Okay. So we want to actually see, you want to see the hotspots. Okay. So that is 318 milliseconds. You can also see from the hotspots 318 milliseconds. Now you want to actually see the JDBC calls. If you click JDBC, okay, and that is basically taking, the JDBC call is taking only 47 milliseconds. Okay, so what it means is that from the 318 milliseconds, JDBC taking only 47 milliseconds, which means that there is some place else it's actually taking long time. Okay, so if you take a look at the store owner sample code, we have artificially added code to slow things down. Okay, so you can actually make a guess. In this method, it's not a problem of JDBC call. It is the logic inside this method. In this case, is artificially added code like this. So that's the way you can actually find out, how you can actually improve the performance. In this case, optimizing this code, maybe removing this code. Okay. So you can take a look at SQL calls. You can also take a look at the SQL calls, and this is insert into, which is so this is just basic SQL calls. That there is nothing much to be improved. Okay. All right. So last one is JMX, and the JMX, basically you can use AppDynamics controller as a JMX client. Okay. So basically this is the playing the role of the JMX client. So nothing really different from JConsole. Or the Visual VM JConsole, or even JMC. Okay, so in this case JMX, and you can find out the information about management information about the pet clinic, and you can find that information. All right, so my demo could be a little bit more improved, but hopefully you get the sense of how things work.